This e-toll fight has been going on for 10 years now. It was in December 2013 when the scheme was switched on, but the fight started long before that, and we still get questions to this day. Where are we with e-tolls and what's happening? So just to recap very quickly, the e-toll scheme was launched with too many red flags. Government didn't want to listen. They decided to soldier ahead after a very weak and failed public engagement process. And OUTA was left with no option other than to defend the citizens in what we call a defensive challenge. And that's because the court allowed that. While our court case on technicalities was set aside because the money had been borrowed and the roads had been built, didn't mean to say that people still didn't have a case to argue and fight for their rights to drive on these freeways. So OUTA took this battle up and said, we will go to court with every single summons that SANRAL brings. And we did that to the extent that they threw in the towel. March 2019, this just was not good for politics. The president knew that, everybody knew that. Trying to criminalize people to drive on their freeways is just not going to happen. But this is not because we were against the technology and a user pays principle and all the stuff that they just couldn't comprehend. This was about a scheme that was always going to be flawed. E-Natus is flawed. The postal system is flawed. The enforcement process was flawed. It was never going to work, and we just don't want to operate in a country where our laws are ungovernable, not because they're bad laws, but because the laws just cannot be applied. That's what makes them ultimately bad. So here we are 10 years later, and people ask us, what's happening with e-tolls? Well, essentially, e-tolls is dead in the water, and government knows that. There's nothing they can do. They cannot take your license away. They cannot prevent you from relicensing your vehicles. They can't blacklist you. They can't do anything. They cannot enforce it. So in reality, the scheme is dead in the water. But there's a technicality that they have to undo the decision. They have to declare the roads as non-tolled roads, reversing the decision that they declared them as tolled roads back in 2008. That's all that has to happen. Now, the intention is, and many times they've said they're going to make this decision, and they haven't. But this time around, we believe they will in October of 2022. What will that be? It'll really be the finance minister saying that we're going to finance these bonds differently. We're not going to have to try and squeeze it out of the public through a drive now, pay later electronic tolling system. It's going to have to come from another mechanism. And the only other mechanism is allocations from Treasury. Simple as that, which they've been doing for the last 6 years. And that allocation, Treasury's revenue is fed by a number of things, VAT, taxes and everything, including the fuel levy. And the fuel levy has gone up by over R2.50 in this period since they made that decision. So we say government's got the money, and we can prove it by showing that they've already been allocating funds to the Gauteng Freeway Improvement Project. So it's there. All they're going to do is formalize that, and they might use the opportunity to push up the fuel levy again, which we would advocate is not the right thing to do at this stage because they've already done it. We don't have the powers, they have powers. And they must make up their mind how they want to do this. But in reality, we pay whatever way it's financed. The public pay for infrastructure upgrading. This was a poor decision right from the word go. It's cost us a lot, as of many things in this country, from Eskom to SAA. We are just labored with an immense costs through bad decisions made through poor governance introduced by this government. So here we are on the cusp of, well done to society. We've stood our ground. The scheme has collapsed. They have no option to turn it off. Hopefully they'll do this all formally in October. Hopefully they do not apply an increase to the fuel levy. And if they do, we'll have to denounce that and fight that. So right now, if you're worried or not sure what's happening, if you're still paying your e-toll bills, that's crazy. The money is better in your account than in SANRAL's account. There's nothing they can do about it. Less than 14% now of people are paying their e-toll bills. Less than 14%. Those companies who are, they're uncompetitive, and they know that. So we suggest stop paying e-tolls. It'll be the catalyst to this decision to be made earlier. There's no need to sign petitions. There's no need to worry about anything right now. All you have to do is know that if you have stopped paying your e-toll bills, you've done the right thing, not because we are trying to create anarchy and that some people suggest, well, if you do that, then people shouldn't pay for electricity, and that's not the argument here. That's not the issue. The issue is this is a bad decision made, and they need to be treated with the way you treat bad laws. You have an obligation to tackle and challenge bad law. That's what we've done. That's what we've done successfully. So well done to you. We'll update you and report back in October once government has made the decision, possibly, and we believe it'll be at the midterm budget policy statement that'll come out towards the end of October. Until then, keep driving, keep enjoying your freeways. They are your freeways.